Hello guys, ever wondered how to achieve a mermaid skirt with fullness at the back starting above the knee line? In today's tutorial, we're going to be looking at how to achieve this. Let's go straight into the tutorial. We'll be starting with our basic skirt pattern, and this is going to be a long skirt. The length I have here is 50 inches. The actual length is supposed to be 45, but I added 5 inches for extra flow. Next will be the width of the box, and I'm working with hip 36. 36 divided by 2 is going to give me 18 inches, and then half of 18 inches is going to be 9 inches. I have this marked out already with a pencil, so I'm going to be tracing them out with my marker to make them visible. Okay, now half of 18 is going to be 9. Okay, I'll also go ahead and roll that out. I will be making use of the edge of the paper as my starting line, and that's going to be representing my waistline. Next measurement I'm going to be imputing or marking out rather is going to be the hip line, and for this hip line I'm going to be using 2 lines to represent the hip line. The first one I'm marking here is 10 inches, waist to hip is 10 inches, and then the next one I'm going to mark will be 2 inches above the hip, the initial one, which is going to be 8 inches. The reason for making use of these 2 lines is to avoid having a sharp point on the hip line. Now we'll move on to the knee line, which is what I'm marking out now. And then we have the length of the skirt. So we have the waistline, the hip line, the knee line, and our skirt length. Okay. Next is for me to determine where I'll be using as my center front and my center back. So I decided to use here as my CF and this one as my CB. Okay. Starting from the waistline, I decided to mark out our dark line, and the nipple to nipple point I'm working with is 6 inches, so that's going to be 3 inches. I marked that on the center back and on the center front line. Okay, so I'll just roll that out and leave them for now. Now for the center back, we're going to be marking out our back tightening, and I made use of 7.5, that's 0.75. Okay, and you're going to connect that back to the hip line. From where you have your back tightening, we're going to be measuring out the waist circumference divided by 4, and mine is 6.5. Now I added 1 inch back for our dart intake, which gave me 7.5. Remember, the hip circumference we're working with is hip 36, and we have exactly 9 inches on our hip line there. So I'll just connect my waistline to the hip line with the help of the hip curve. Now you can see that I'm trying to blend it so that that point will not be sharp when we connect it to the knee line. Now I'll repeat the same process for the center front. I'm going to mark my 7.5 inches and then connect it to the hip line like so. Can you see? And then you blend it so that you don't have any sharp point there. For the knee line, I'm going to go in by 2 inches and then I'll connect it to the hip line. So now you can see that we have a smooth curve on the hip line and not the sharp point which we normally see most of the time. Now for the center back, we're going to divide these 2 inches into 2 and then we'll input one on the side seam and one on the center back. Okay, next thing will be to connect this point. Now for the center back, I'm going to show you 2 ways. You can either use a straight ruler to rule that just as you saw me doing, or you use the curve. For this tutorial, I'm going to be using a curve because I want the back to be more defined and the back contour to be more defined, and then on the side seam I'll use a straight line to connect that. So can you see what we have for the knee line? Now we're going to take those markings straight down. The 1 inch we have on the side seam for the back, you take it straight down like so and connect it to the length of the skirt. For the center back, you repeat the same process. You mark out the 1 inch and connect it to the length of the skirt. Now we are done with the back. We'll repeat the same process for the center front. The front was 2 inches for the knee tightening, so you mark out that 2 inches all the way down and connect it back to the length of the skirt. Now we have our skirt block. All we'll be doing now is going to be alterations. What we have at this point is more like a straight skirt which can be altered into any length of your choice, and we already have the hip contoured already. To continue with the tutorial, I'm going to be measuring what I have on the knee line, and then I'll divide it into 2 and take that marking all the way to the length of the skirt. I'll rule out a straight line. This line is going to be for our slash and spread. Because this is the back and we want the fullness, the sweep to start above the knee line, you're going to determine how high you want it to be above the knee. For this tutorial, I decided to make use of 4 inches. So I went up by 4 inches there and ruled that out. Sorry, I connected it to the side seam, which is wrong. We're supposed to connect it to the center back. I did the correction later on when I discovered the error. For the center front, we'll repeat the same process. You measure what you have on your knee line, then divide it into 2 and then take that mark all the way down. Same way we rule this out. Now that our skirt is ready, we'll go ahead and cut out. At this point, I've realized my error and I am correcting it now. Okay, so just like I said, this is the side back and this is the center back. Your connection should be to the center back and not to the side back. So this is me correcting it now, because the fullness is supposed to be on the center back. When we slash and spread now, we're going to be adding fullness to the center back and not the side back. The one for the side back will be going another direction. So for the center front, I'm cutting out now. And this is a block, pattern block. Next will be to just mark out our dart intake, just so we remember that we have a dart intake of 1 inch there. Okay, I'll repeat the same process for the center front now. Okay, alright, now we'll go ahead and alter our pattern to a mermaid skirt. I'll set the back aside and we'll begin with the front. So this is the front block. I'll cut it open now. That's the line we rode at the middle for the slash and spread effect. For the front, we're going to be slashing to the side seam because the fullness is going to be to the side and not to the center front. So we'll slash to the side like so. Please don't cut it all out. When you do this, then you decide how much fullness you want to add. You can add as much as you want, 10, 12, 15. But one thing you have to remember is that if you add too much, then your skirt is going to fall back to the front, which will not make the skirt to look good. So you want to be moderate with whatever you're going to be adding. Okay? And then whatever you decide, you can just measure everything together from your center front. I decided to use 12 and then plus everything I have, I think I had like 19, which is going to be like 38 inches. And this is what 38 looks like. Can you see? 38 inches. So I think that's good enough. It's wide enough. Okay, now that I have determined that, I'll go ahead and bring another paper. I'll be spreading on this paper. Now because your center front is on a straight line, you have to make sure that you have it placed correctly on a straight line. So I'm using the edge of that paper to make sure that I have the center front to be on a straight line there. You can make use of sellotape or gum, whichever you have. For this, I'll be making use of pins. So I'll pin all the way down now to make sure I secure the center front there. Now to the side, I'm going to determine the fullness which I'm adding.
and I already determined that to be 12 inches. Okay, this is just to cross check and make sure that I have exactly 12 inches. Alright, now make sure you blend your knee line just to make sure you don't have a sharp transition in there. Let it be smooth so that the knee line can fall or open easily. For the hem, you want to make use of your curved ruler. You're not supposed to have it straight there. Just try to create some form of curve so that the flow of your skirt will look round and beautiful on the floor. Okay. Okay, so this is mine. Can you see how it looks? Now that I'm done, we'll go ahead and cut out. Alright, now we have the front block ready. Okay, for the center front on the waistline, you can decide to come down by 1 inch to shapen the waistline there. Okay, but for what I'll be using this block for, I won't be doing that here. All you need to do is just close your dart like this, come down by 1 inch, and then you connect it like so, and then you cut out. But I won't be doing that. For the center back, this is what we have. Okay, so we'll be working on the center back first. We'll be slashing it open to add the fullness. Okay, and remember we went up by 4 inches above the knee line. So I'm going to slash this all the way up to where I have that 4 inches mark, and then I'm going to slash it open also to the center back. I'll slash it very close so that I can add enough fullness. Now I've gotten another paper. This paper I had to join because I ran out of paper. I had to join so many pieces of paper together. Now I have, if you notice, there is a straight line or mark in between the center of the skirt which I slashed open already. This is because I want to use that to determine the center of this mark of this skirt that I have here. Okay, because every spread I'm going to be using that line as my starting point. Now for the center back, you can add as much as you want. And when I say as much as you want, I mean as much as you want. Okay, but for this tutorial, I decided to make use of 15 inches. Okay, so I'm pinning it down now. Because I want this skirt to have a train, I decided to add extra 10 inches to the length. Remember, I already added 5 inches to the length of the skirt initially. So I think that's enough for what I want to do, but you can add more to your train length. Okay, now for the side back, we came back to the knee line. Can you see? To the knee line, the actual knee line, and not where we have that 4 inches. Okay, now I've opened the knee line, and then I'm opening it up by 12 inches because that's what we use for the center front. Remember when we slashed open the center front, we added the fullness to the side, so we have to do the same thing for the side back so that they can match up. Okay, now that we have this ready, the next thing will be to connect from the side back to the center back where we have the train. Now you have to be careful in doing this so that you have a very beautiful shape. Now you don't have to make it a straight line, just as I said for the front. Try to impute some form of curve to an extent. Okay, so you can see me trying to determine which shape will be nice and come out more beautiful. Okay, I'll go ahead and cut it out now. Don't forget to blend on the knee line. Okay, alright, so can you see, this is what we have, and it looks so beautiful. Just imagine how it will look like when you transfer to fabric and you sew out the skirt. Can you see? And this is our front pattern. Remember to close up your dart. That is if you don't intend sewing the dart, and I don't intend to sew mine. So now this is what we have. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.